Fox keeps on crumbling as Donald Trump's campaign is in free fall. That was on full display this weekend. They had Don Jr. on Fox on Maria Bartiromo, and this is what Don Jr. said. Play the clip.
This is kind of getting old. I've had a lot of time in the last few months where I have to explain to my young children why radicalized Democrats are trying to kill their grandfather. Now you've had to do that twice. Then you have this, and then you have the hacking.
Yes, more lies on Fox, not shocking there, but Don Jr. saying that the assassination attempts on Donald Trump came from radicalized Democrats. I mean, the first individual was a Trump MAGA supporter. The second individual voted for Trump in 2016, but that's all they're talking about right now. When you get the fundraising emails from Trump, it's all about that and no other topic. Then Maria Bartiromo has on Kari Lake, and she also has on the head of the border union. And here Kari Lake attacks Vice President Kamala Harris. You get it, you guessed it, for going to the border and actually proposing a plan. Play this clip.
Your reaction to Kamala Harris's border visit in Arizona on Friday?
I found it despicable. She spent 20 minutes on the border. She's been the border czar, Maria, for almost 4 years now. And she came down, I think, to make her friends in the mainstream media happy so that they could finally say she visited the border. Spent 20.
What's notable about that clip as well, they have the leader of the Border Patrol Union there. And I'll just show you how not serious these people are, because several months ago, when Donald Trump killed the bipartisan border deal and he ordered that it be killed, it's an objective fact of what went down, the president of the border union said that he supported the bipartisan border deal that Donald Trump killed. Here, play this clip.
Because what this bill essentially does is, yeah, you hear a lot of talk on the 5,000 cap, okay? But what that is right now there is no cap. So everyone that comes across that for asylum gets released. Under this bill, everyone's going to get detained. You're not just going to be releasing. Why is it 5,000? Because they're saying, they're going to hold up to 5,000 that they're going to go through the process, but the process are more strict than they are now. So now the asylum officer will make the determination on the asylum, and if they don't have a good asylum claim, they're going to get, sent back immediately without ever getting released. And as opposed to now, everyone's getting released, and they're not showing up for court, or their court date is 10 years down the road. Just to eliminate that. It's like I said, it's not perfect. I wish everyone was getting detained. So obviously, the family units are still going to have to go through other processes.
And then they just want to have us forget about that, right? So they'll have Brian Kilmeade, for example, one of the Fox hosts, just very cavalierly and just nonchalantly just say, "Oh, cool, Donald Trump didn't kill the bill. That's not what happened." Here's Brian Kilmeade from Fox over the past few days. Play this clip.
She's underwater on two issues: on the economy, closing the gap a little bit, and on immigration. And every time she talks about immigration, she brings up two things. Number one, that border bill, the bipartisan border bill that she says would have revolutionized everything. Outside the Border Patrol agents that would have added, she almost knows nothing else about it. And there's huge holes in it. And it wasn't Donald Trump that stopped it. It was various Republicans that weren't on board with it. They knew nothing about it, and they weren't going to let any amendments go through.
Here's Donald Trump taking credit for killing the bipartisan border deal. Play this clip.
But you give illegal taxpayer-funded lawyers, so they have millions of dollars in this agreement, in this deal, which we, by the way, killed. I think we killed it. I think it's dead. But you can never say it, because bad bills always come back to life, because these guys make a lot of money with bad bills.
Here's Donald Trump saying to blame him for killing the bipartisan border deal. Play this clip.
And I'll fight it all the way. I notice a lot of the senators are trying to say respectfully they're blaming it on me. I said, that's okay. Please blame it on me. Please.
Here's the Republican conservative senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford, who was the person who led the negotiations of the bipartisan border deal, who admits that Donald Trump was the one who killed the bipartisan border deal.
I know you're not trying to zing your colleagues, but it's your colleagues in your party, sir, who torpedoed this, who didn't get the facts right on what you just outlined was in that measure. They killed it. Ironically, not Democrats.
Right. It was, and it was painful to be able to watch. It got stirred up in all the presidential politics, and several of my colleagues started looking for ways. After President Trump said, don't fix anything during the presidential election, it's the single biggest issue during the election, don't resolve this, we'll resolve it next year. Quite a few of my colleagues backed up, looked for a reason to be able to shoot against it, and then walked away. I get that. That's a decision everybody makes in it. My issue is if we're pursuing everything, we very often end up with nothing. If we're pursuing someone coming later to fix it, later seems to never come. When we have a moment to fix things, we should fix as many things as we can then come back later and fix the rest.
That's on Donald Trump, Senator.
That, again, he's got an office that he's running for. He's got a campaign that he's running. I'm already in office. I've got a responsibility to be able to carry on this.
I can go on and on and on, but I just prefer, and I hope you do too, to live in a fact-based world. We don't have to speak in hyperbolic terms. We can just show the clips of what people are saying. I want to show you this as well, though, because I do want to give Steve Doocy credit right here. The great folks Decoding Fox News found this clip right here. This is Steve Doocy, as they say, dropping some truth bombs right here about Kari Lake and others. And just look how other people are reacting to this when Steve Doocy on Fox is, for once, telling the truth. Here, play the clip.
But there ultimately are going to be two other things that will drive people to the polls in Arizona. One, they've got abortion on the ballot, the constitutional amendment for the state. 7 in 10 of all voters support it. And the other thing is the Senate race, the U.S. Senate race, where the Democrat currently is leading Kari Lake by, I think, 12, 13, 14 points with likely voters.
Gallego.
So that is the background. We have set the table. You'll see her live a little later on.
Then they have Don Jr. back on Maria Bartiromo. And here, just watch Maria Bartiromo's expression here as Don Jr. starts promoting these kind of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and the Great Replacement theory. This is what they're platforming on Fox this weekend. Play this clip.
The lawfare that they're able to put into this, the millions and millions that are funded to it. I mean, it's not just fundraising and campaigns where they can dwarf us because, Soros or whoever it may be. They do that in each and every instance. So I think we've done an incredible job doing what we can, but we're up against a lot of forces that are not looking to do the right thing. They're looking to try to literally give illegal aliens, the right to vote. They're looking to let them get away with it. Well, it's not really a crime, if you didn't know. So wink, 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 show up and vote.
Wow.
They're doing this across the board. The amount of calls I've had from people, Ken Paxton in Texas. Hey, they're giving them ID cards and then they're registering to vote, even though they know they're not actually legal to vote, and they're just hoping that no one has the time to catch it all. So they're playing whatever games they can imagine. They're flaunting it before the American people. It's absolutely disgusting, but we should be accustomed to that now from the Democrat Party, because they are not the party of putting Americans first. They've ostracized so many of their normal demographics that would have been reliable Democrat voters. So rather than actually do what's good for those people and the rest of the American people, they said, you know what, we're just going to replace you by bringing in 20 million unknown, unvetted, some of whom are murderers and rapists, many of whom, frankly, at this point. And that's how they're going to handle the situation.
Wow.
It's laughable if it wasn't happening in America right now. It's truly disgusting.
Don, thank you very much for weighing in this morning. Good to see you. Trump Organization Executive Vice President Donald Trump Jr. Thank you, sir.
As Melanie D'Arijo says, the lie that Democrats want illegals to vote is a distraction from the 78 voter suppression laws Republicans passed in 30 states and 33 election interference laws they passed in 15 states just this year. Republicans view your right to vote as a threat to their power. Decoding Fox News found this clip. Hat tip to them. Support their work. They do really good work there. She does really good work there. Greg Gutfeld here, admitting that these stories about the Haitian migrants are just made up. Play this clip.
These bastards were more offended by stories of cats being eaten than real stories reported here of actual rape and murder. And if you ask why those other stories existed, it was the only way to get these a-holes in the media to even look at this story.
Here is the MAGA Republican Senator Katie Britt right here. She was the one who gave the rebuttal to President Biden's State of the Union. Remember what a disaster that was. And here she's talking about her support of IVF, which she doesn't support IVF. And how do we know that? She and the other MAGA Republicans killed the bill. Once again, you can see how they're voting. She blocked, along with other MAGA Republicans, a bill that would codify protections of IVF so that the Supreme Court can take that right away. And here she's asked about it, and just watch what she says. Here, play this clip.
Truth is, Democrats continue to use this issue as a scare tactic because IVF is legal and accessible in all 50 states. And President Trump has made it perfectly clear that he'll continue to make sure that that's the case.
So you voted against a measure, though, that was offered up by Democrats on IVF in the Senate there, and they continue to point to that to say Republicans aren't supportive of protecting IVF. Why did you vote no?
So, Shannon, I'm so glad you brought this up. This is politics at its worst. If you think about what Chuck Schumer is doing, instead of putting funding bills on the floor that are so critically important to actually doing our job for the American people, of which he put none on the floor, instead of putting the National Defense Authorization Act on the floor so that our servicemen and women can be the best trained, equipped, and ready across the planet, instead of putting the Farm Bill on the floor, which we do every 5 years, and our farmers are hurting. You can talk to any farmer in any corner of this country, and they say it is challenging to make ends meet, and we know food security is national security. Instead of putting any of those bills on the floor, Shannon, he chose to put an IVF bill on the floor for a show vote. That bill extended into human cloning. That bill did not protect religious freedom, something that we have agreed is a bipartisan issue, something we do consistently. This time they chose to rip that out.
And it's just important that you always see what their head fake is, what their distraction is. The bottom line is that they voted against. Look, I have the footage. Like, here is the moment, for example, where Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, voted against protecting IVF. It's very simple.
Mr. Vance, no.
And interestingly, when J.D. Vance went on morning shows and he was asked about it, he gave a very similar answer to Katie Britt, but we have him on tape.
How would this work if a state, and you believe that states should have the right to make these decisions, if a state bans IVF, but Donald Trump says he wants to guarantee and or pay for IVF for everyone who wants it, how would that work if a state banned it?
Well, John, I think it's such a ridiculous hypothetical because Alabama, which is maybe the most conservative state in the entire union, has actively protected fertility access and fertility treatments. There's no state in the union, whether a right-wing state or a left-wing state, that I think is trying to ban access to fertility treatments. And if Alabama is protecting this stuff, I think it's safe to say the whole country is as well. So,
well, but the court,
look,
if there was a court,
I think that
who's
what
to say
Donald
there's
Trump
not?
again wants to do
Who's to say that
is
there's not another
protect
court?
access.
Who is to say there's not another court in another state that could decide that IVF should be banned? It happened in Alabama for a minute. You also voted against a measure in the Senate that would have guaranteed access to IVF around the country. So it's possible, right?
Well, two things, John. First of all, yes, a court made that decision in Alabama, and like the next second, the Alabama state legislature fixed that problem and ensured women had access to these fertility treatments. And all that I voted on, John, is for religious liberty.
As a kid, I loved eating cereal, but as an adult, I don't want all that sugar, and most cereals don't give me the protein I need. Then I found Magic Spoon, a nostalgically delicious cereal that tastes just like my childhood favorites, but without the sugar and with a ton of protein. And if you're already a Magic Spoon fan like I am, I have big news. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious and have already become my favorite before and after gym snack. Every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you are eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, and there's so many more. I love the cocoa ones. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, and an easy way to get 11 grams of protein on the go.
go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolate peanut butter. Chocolatey peanut butter. I personally love Magic Spoon's chocolatey peanut butter treats. I have one every morning to start the day off on the right foot, and I know you will love it as well. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/Meidas or look for Magic Spoon in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/Meidas, MEIDAS, for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream. magicspoon.com/Meidas.
Democratic Senator Chris Coons from Delaware went on Fox, and here's what he had to say about Donald Trump's friendship with Vladimir Putin that Fox was trying to normalize. Let me show this to you. Play this clip.
Well, were you encouraged by the meeting between President Trump and President Zelensky? Because they came out of it and seemed that they had met, had some kind of meeting of the minds, that they heard each other. I mean, President Trump said, it hasn't changed where he is overall on trying to get this thing ended. But even President Zelensky, and he talked with our Griff Jenkins too, sounded like he felt like it was a good meeting.
I'm glad they met. It's important that there be conversations between President Zelensky and both Republican and Democratic leaders of our nation and candidates to be the next president of our nation. But in the clip that you're showing right now, President Trump said, "I'm a very good friend of Putin's." And you could see Zelensky sort of stiffen up and go, well, I hope you're a better friend of Ukraine than you are a friend of Russia under Putin. So it was a strikingly awkward moment. Putin is a war criminal. Putin has carried out horrific attacks in Ukraine. We should not have a president of the United States saying that he is seeking to be a better friend of Vladimir Putin.
And that's what I like. I like when Democrats or the pro-democracy community, everyone just pushes back against this Fox propaganda. You know who's been doing a great job at it, who I just want to highlight here for a second? The Democratic representative, state representative from Texas. This guy, I think, has got a great future ahead of him. You've seen him here on the MeidasTouch Network, James Tallarico. Let me show you, for example, an appearance that he had in the past year on Fox. But play this clip.
You have made a lot of money personally, and you've enriched a lot of corporations with advertising by getting on here and spewing lies and conspiracy theories to folks who trust you. And so what I'm asking you to do is to tell your voters right now that Donald Trump lost the election in 2020.
At least you've resolved the lie that is Democrats are now for voter ID. It's not your show, sir, but at least you resolved the idea that Democrats are not for voter ID.
Did Donald Trump lose the election in 2020?
Real quick.
Can you answer the question? Did Donald Trump lose the election in 2020?
I'm answering questions. Don't really feel any obligation to answer anything
an uncomfortable question for you?
No.
And he's been in the news recently because he gives a lot of great speeches. He's an evangelical, gives sermons, and he's saying, look, if you're an evangelical, how could you support Donald Trump and his behavior? Here's what he said this past week. Here, play this clip.
Christian nationalists have taken Trump as their new Christ because he's everything the first one was not. Jesus was poor. Trump is rich. Jesus was meek. Trump is a bully. Jesus lost, and Trump is obsessed with winning. I honestly think that if Donald Trump and J.D. Vance met Jesus today, they would ridicule him as a single, childless hippie. And in fact, Donald Trump Jr. explicitly rejected Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. He said, turning the other cheek has, quote, gotten us nothing. How did we get to the point where loving your enemy is weak and loving your neighbor is woke? I mean, they are literally rejecting the central teachings of Jesus because those teachings don't serve their own self-interest. Christian nationalism is not about the way of Jesus. It's about the pursuit of power.
That's why I wanted to show it to you. I thought it was very compelling. And have you seen the Evangelicals for Harris's latest ad? It's incredible. Let me just show it to you.
But you must realize that in the last days, the times will be full of danger. Men will become utterly self-centered and greedy for money.
My whole life I've been greedy. I've grabbed all the money I could get. I'm so greedy.
They will be proud and abusive.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
Uncontrolled and violent.
Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
They will be treacherous, reckless, and arrogant.
I am the chosen one.
Loving what gives them pleasure instead of loving God.
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet.
Maintain a facade of religion, but their lives deny the truth.
Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
That's a tough question. I'm not sure I have. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't.
Keep clear of people like that.
Yeah, and Donald Trump is absolutely livid and pissed that these ads are going on Fox, and Vice President Kamala Harris's ads are going on Fox. All throughout the weekend, Donald Trump was posting, "Why is Fox putting these ads on? It's so unfair. It's so unfair to me." It is so bizarre right there. And then finally, let me show you this. And again, this is one of the, I think a Democrat who I think could run for president in the future. You've seen him here with me on the MeidasTouch network. James Auchincloss from Jake Auchincloss, from Massachusetts. Here's Congressmember Auchincloss. Play the clip.
Now, Neil, with respect, this isn't a couple of mischosen words by J.D. Vance. This is a theme. He's a MAGA shapeshifter. He doesn't appear to have any real political beliefs except for this deep-seated denigration of women. He has voted against and stood against exceptions for rape and incest to abortion. He's voted against safe and legal in vitro fertilization. He's insulted women trying to start a family. And then he just seems to get mean when pushed on it. I mean, how hard would it have been to say to Jennifer Aniston, I empathize with your journey towards starting a family, and here in the United States, we want to make it easier for women to have kids with a child tax credit and with subsidized child care. But no, he calls her disgusting. This is going to be an ongoing theme because it fits into a pattern that Republicans have with disrespect for women. I mean, look at the top of the ticket. Donald Trump bragged about sexual assault and was then found civilly liable for sexual assault. So
you see the difference between how he appears versus like a Don Jr. or a Katie Britt or any of these MAGAs. Because when you have the truth on your side, it's easy. That's what I'm looking for more than anything, more than Democrat, Republican. I just want smart people who are trying to solve problems. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million together. Thanks for watching.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.